are stumbling, and we'll get to the next story so we can continue on with this, because this does play a part as well. So Halo Infinite has been delayed, and I know this is something that people have run through already a long time, but we haven't really discussed it yet. So it was originally slated to launch with the Series X that launches in November, but it'll be pushed to 2021. 343, Phil Spencer, and a lot of these upper management guys have tweeted about this, mainly saying that the delay was due to the COVID-19 affecting development and wanting to hit people's expectations. So one thing I really noticed with specifically Halo Infinite is that they were really trying to create nostalgia with the way the original Xbox launched with the Halo. You can see the mirroring effects of like the Series X, being resold with Halo, like remembering the good old days and really recreating that experience. And I think this really shows some issues. And I know they did blame this on COVID-19. I do believe, obviously, COVID-19 just came and wrecked so many things, so many industries, so many things. This game has also been in development for like 5-6 years now. So I don't want them, and I'm not saying they're using it as a cop-out or anything like that, but how much of a delay is this really going to be? What is it that you have to fix? And don't get me wrong, I know there was issues with their presentation and their newest gameplay reveal, and they're probably going to take a lot of that feedback. But it's been a long time. You guys, and I don't want anyone to rush. I want them to have all the time delayed again. I mean, look, The Last of Us got delayed. Ghost of Tsushima got delayed. Cyberpunk's been delayed every other month for what seems like forever. So one, yes, take your guys' time. I want you guys to make a great game. I want Halo Infinite to be fantastic. But this just, how do you really market your system? Now this continues from what we were just talking about with the double system. How do you launch these two new consoles, different SKUs, different powers, and not have anything to show for it? Because now Halo Infinite was really their exclusive, and I know that word's tentative with them, but that was your exclusive for the year. I mean, for the launch it was Halo, and now it's not here. So now you're gonna be buying a box to play games that you can already play on your Xbox One, your PS4, or your PS5, and it's like, oof. And then in addition with the PS5, you have a few of the smaller exclusives coming at launch. So what do you think of the delay in general, but what do you think it means for this holiday competition, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously taking more time to improve a game is never something that I'm going to be mad at. Games can be delayed temporarily, but once they're out, they're out. And you want to make sure that you get that right. Obviously, that leaves a massive hole for this next launch. And I know Microsoft is very aware of how problematic that is. But I think they weigh the option. It's like, listen, not having a first-party exclusive there for our new console launch is an issue. Mm-hmm. However, having a first-party game, and you don't get more Microsoft first-party than Halo, a new first-party game at launch that's not up to snuff when you're Microsoft is even worse, I think, in their view. That it's like, we rather push it and have that void than have something there that doesn't hit right. Because again, 5 was a full-featured game, and some people had what they had to say about it. So imagine if they drop another game that's touted to be this very ambitious, big thing with a brand new console attached to it, and that doesn't hit right. That's not gonna bode well for them. And the selling the Xbox Series X is already kind of an uphill battle for them. Mm-hmm. So if on top of that, it's like, okay, well, at least it has Halo, and people are like, well, the Halo's not that great. I mean, that is putting them in a bad situation, and you're instantly back to 2013, where it's like, man, you guys messed this up. And Microsoft, I know, on the back end are like, we can't afford another console launch screw-up like we did last time. We lost this last generation because we spent so much of the generation trying to make up lost ground. We need to get ahead this time. So if that means pushing it off and making sure when that comes out, it comes out right, I think they're in the mind of, so be it. And I hear them. They're kind of in a lose-lose situation in many ways, where it's like, yeah, that void is going to hurt them, but also having a messed up game is going to hurt them. So it's a matter of kind of weighing which one would you rather have, and they obviously weighed having that delay. Hopefully they didn't push it too far into 2021 because, again, 2020 in general has been incredibly light for first-party releases from Microsoft. And 2021, I mean, they need to rectify that, and they need a lot of these teams to start hitting. Forza Motorsport is coming, obviously, so that's going to be something. Gears Tactics, perhaps I would get a console launch in some capacity, so that maybe is something they have to look forward to. They would obviously have to, change fundamentally how some of the game operates. But, they're in a weird position. I'm still wondering where some of their new acquisitions, where Hellblade falls and stuff like that. So they need to make up a lot of lost ground now that they're launching a game without a major first-party release. And hopefully it doesn't hurt them too bad. They know how problematic this is. But I think it's a decent decision that they made considering the alternative. Because, again, Halo is not something they can afford to get wrong. They can have a middling Gears game. It's not great for them, but okay. But, that's their mascot. That's like Nintendo putting out a brand new 3D Mario game and that not hitting right. That's an issue. If you can't get this right, that spells not great things for your first-party development ecosystem. So, though I think it's an issue, I think it's the best course of action they can take at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's almost a consensus among fans that this is Halo's last chance. And not that Halo's ever going to go away specifically, but, and I'm not a, Bungie fanboy and against 343. Because some of the stuff that 343 did incorporate into Halo 4 and a little bit into Halo 5, I did enjoy, to an extent. So they're on the right path. But overall, Halo 4 and Halo 5 have been very lackluster compared to the fan base that it used to. Like you're saying, when people thought of console gaming in general, they thought of the Call of Duty players and the Halo players.
Yep.
Like those were the shooters people were playing. There was no, I understand the industry has changed. There was no Fortnite. There was no Apex and all this other stuff. Like if you had an Xbox, you were playing Halo. Like I remember Halo 3 came out. There's so many people that didn't go to school that day and everything. I remember that stuff. So this is kind of Halo's last chance. And I think they know that themselves by not calling this Halo 6 and all this stuff and the way they've talked about it and the way they're almost talking about it. It's going to be almost like a platform to expand, the Halo universe and this story. This is their last chance, I think. And if like you're saying, if they were to screw up Halo now, why would anyone ever want to play Halo again? Especially when now that the Master Chief Collection is on PC, everyone's just playing Halo 2 and 3 online, and it's wild to think that they're gonna choose those games compared to 343's, and that's just gonna spell bad trouble because 343 specifically put together. It's named 343, which is a big Halo reference. Like this is what they're supposed to do, is make Halo games. And 4 was a little bit more welcomed than 5 was, and 5 has a lot of issues. But like a lot of that stuff looked like they were trying to really fix it, and they're really trying to recreate Halo into their own. And I just feel like you gotta get it right. So I'd hate to be like, oh my god, that's it. It's over for Halo. So I'm hoping the best for them. I completely agree that hopefully it's not too long, because who knows what 2021 looks like. Nintendo's been very quiet.
Yeah. Like
suspiciously quiet. Sony's shown a lot of stuff that it's not going to be, they're not going to be launched. Sony has a lot of things slated for 2021. Now we don't have specific, quarters or seasons yet, but you don't want to be going up against some of this stuff.
Yeah, Horizon's out there somewhere, and you got.
Do you imagine them trying to launch, in a world they try to launch Halo at the same time as Horizon? And not even that, now you got third parties. Far Cry 6 is going to be huge in February, I think.
Yes, I believe so. Yep, Q1.
That's a huge game. People love Far Cry. And this one looks even, fantastic. It looks like a lot harboring to, the good stuff from the older Far Cries. So it's like, you gotta be, wary of where you're going to drop this. Where do you drop Halo? And it's tough. They're in a no-win situation really with that. But I think their first thing is get the game where it needs to be.
Yeah. And I think ultimately when all's said and done, I'm gonna bet that this is gonna hit right when it comes out. I think they understand all the critiques. I think people's reception to that trailer, I feel like, did play a role, whether they admit it or not.
Absolutely.
I think, yeah, the COVID did slow things down a lot, but I think they were probably semi-ready to go, and it's like, well, let's see what people think. And when people are like, no, they're like, all right, let's retool this and get this right. Because from what they've explained, this is a very ambitious title. It's bigger than the previous games. So I think they're going to try to make sure that this hits correctly when it comes out. Not to mention, it's going to be a Game Pass game day one. So
absolutely,
people playing and enjoying it and getting time out of it is integral to the success. It's not like other games that it counts on that first week sales type situation. It's an entirely different pricing model. So player retention matters a lot when you're talking Game Pass games, because it's all subscription based. So they got to make sure that people jump into this game, play this game, and stay with this game. And so that's why I feel like there's so much weight on them to get it right at launch. And it's not one of those things that you're just going to patch out. So, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. We're going to keep our eyes on it. But I think we can, both comfortably say that we're both really excited to play this next Halo game and want to see the best from them.
Obviously, yeah. We've got to see what they, what they have in there. Because, again, we've only seen such a small slice of that game. We haven't seen multiplayer at all, which I just remembered is free to play.
Yes. It's separate, yeah.
Do they have the guts to release that early?
That would be interesting.
Even if they just release let's say a beta, maybe they do the beta at launch for the Series X, that would be more like, hey, you want to be in on the beta before the game, the multiplayer part goes free to play. I just don't know what that looks like, because you don't want to release it two separate. You don't want to release like full multiplayer and then like months later try to release a single player campaign. Like that's like if Fortnite tried to release a single player campaign right now. Like no one would want that.
Yeah, it's a situation because, again, I feel like Xbox is in a position where not only do they need to keep Xbox One players in the ecosystem and, upgrading, but I feel like they also, in many ways, to really make up the lost ground that they did with the Xbox One generation, they need to get a lot of the lapsed gamers. And a lot of Xbox lapsed gamers or former PlayStation gamers and stuff like that have a lot of goodwill towards the Xbox Online and Halo Online ecosystem. So if that is a big, seller right there, that like, hey, the next Halo Online system is on the Series X, so upgrade now. And that could, I'm sure, get some people back. But if you separate it from the Halo campaign, then in many ways you're kind of leaving the campaign out to die in 6 months when that launches. Exactly. That puts that in a weird situation where it's, again, and I would never say that people do not care about the campaign. People do care about the campaign. But I would say lapsed gamers certainly do not, especially after 5. Mm-hmm. That's a very Microsoft ecosystem thing. The average outsider doesn't care about the Halo story. So you need to have that whole package together. But I think they're smart. They're smart over there. And they're willing to make decisions that are unconventional and quick on the thing and make it work. So I have a lot of faith that they'll pull this off, but it's certainly uncharted waters.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to just wait and see. And hopefully we get some more information semi-soon. Because, again, they were talking about if they would do some we haven't seen any multiplayer, so at least maybe some footage, some beta stuff would help.